I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time. Hello and welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James. I get the honor and the privilege of introducing you to fabulous women. Women that inspire me, women that are change makers, women that have stepped into their own power and created the life that they want. And they're making a difference in their own lives and in the lives of others. And so they're way showers. They're models that just invite us to step into the field of possibility and create. I love that I get to do this every week. We're on all the platforms, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, Amazon Video, on YouTube. Please subscribe. Tell any women you know that's ready to step into her power to subscribe and follow us. I guarantee you, every woman has something that will touch your heart. Today, I get to introduce you to someone that's been in my life for quite a while, and she's, well, beautiful inside and out. Her name is Spirit Corley, a creative entrepreneur. And she comes from Southern California, but she's been enchanting the landscapes of Colorado for the past 18 transformative years, right? In the face of adversity, Spirit discovered the boundless power of self-care and mindful practices. And with an unyielding determination, she channeled those experiences into the creation of Scents Aromatics. It's a collection of natural bath and body products that radiate with, listen to this, love, intention, and wellness. And by Spirit going beyond just creating exceptional products, she stepped into a place where everything that she brings is a true beacon of intentionality. So all of the scents and all of the products are carefully curated, and the ingredients and the branding and the packaging are all intentional. I want you to know that I had the opportunity to hear her speak at my conference and to witness the exquisite nature of the gifts that she's been given. And I should say they, because that's what's in your bio, and I want to honor that. But I just am so grateful that you're here, Spirit.
Well, thank you so much, Cynthia. It's my honor and privilege to be here.
Well, I want to start with how you grew up. You know, a lot of people think that successful people just sort of dropped into it and everything just flowed. But how did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Southern California during the mid-'60s, during a time of what we would call social unrest. I am an adoptee. I grew up in a traditional family, being a very untraditional energy person, that how I showed up in the world, being very creative early on. I think that my experience as being an adoptee, being creative, being a person who is compassionate and loving, and just being a person that really cares about our world, that I think I had a unique upbringing. It allowed me to really take hold of who I was as I grew into myself, you know, being out on my own at a very early age. And I believe the fact of, you know, finding my birth mom, because I know that there was a piece that was always missing, you know, being having the lack of identity, you know, all the things that some adoptees do experience. So once I found my birth mom in 2018, I believe that it was another part of my story that I was able to truly tell. And, you know, you and I have had many conversations about this. And so I feel like you have helped me to elevate that story and Yeah, and I think it just really it lends to who I am as a person, because I have such a love of life and all the things that happen to us and manifest for us. And like I said, when finding my birth mom was, and my birth father's family, just being able to like really put those pieces and I've always felt that part of my life had been like fragmented, for
Mm.
as being an adoptee. So now I just feel like I have so much more to share and so much more of myself that I feel there's a wholeness there that I'm able to just really, harness life and just be able to just enjoy it and tell my story.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful, and I love when you were sharing at the conference of the the intentionality within you to find your birth mom and to open to whatever was going to unfold there, and the beautiful thing that occurred, and the lessons you learned, the information you got from connecting with this human being. So, you and I were talking earlier that I call you a parallelpreneur. So I want to talk about your products, but I want to talk about the work you do in the world that makes a difference for so many people.
Yeah, so I move by day in workforce development programs for the Department of Labor and Employment here in the state of Colorado. And I've been with the department for 18 years, monitoring programs in the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, working with marginalized communities, at-risk youth, Department of Corrections. I oversee several grants that really impact our local talent pipeline. And interestingly enough, like as you say, being a parallel entrepreneur, that I can say that based on my experience, my upbringing, the things that I care about as a person, that I was able to infuse that into the work that I do, because I don't think ideally I'm a type of person that would be working for a state government, but and I'm kind of like an anomaly there. But I also know that based on how I show up in the world, my spiritual practices, being mindful and intentional, that I'm able to bring a different aspect to the work that I do. And so that's why I have such great relationships with industry and business. And, and I enjoy it. Yesterday, the governor, we had a big launch for our apprenticeships, and just like saying that, yeah, I love the work that I do. I love being able to impact our community, to make exchanges and connections. And I know that there are parallels based on my creative things that I do, as well as how I show up in my career. And and what most women or most people these days, we don't have the luxury of just doing one thing anyway. So if you enjoy what you do and how you show up, whether it's your job, career, and then also doing something else that you enjoy, maybe it's a small business, that I think that just makes us more well-rounded. So I love how I show up in the work that I do.
Well, yeah. And I don't think it's an accident that your name is Spirit, because I think that you bring this spirit of love and creativity and joy to whatever you do. So whether it's working for the government or whether it's the creating of these products, I remember when we first talked about it, it was so important to you that these products were integrous and filled with the energy that you wanted to transmit. So I want to talk about this journey, because I don't think you just leaped out and said, okay, here I am, successful entrepreneur. Talk, where did the idea come from?
Well, yeah. So I will say, okay, so when I first moved to Colorado, it was my eye-opening experience in working in a traditional job and career in government. And I also subsequently received my master's degree in organizational leadership. But on the other side of that, while I was writing my thesis and everything, I developed an autoimmune disorder. So much had happened that year. Like they said, there's three things in life that really impact us, that are very stressful. That's, death, buying a home. And, there's so many others, but I think the pivotal fact of me, like graduating with my master's, being a single mom, working in government, and I had a small business designing jewelry at the time. But like as I mentioned, I developed a very aggressive autoimmune disorder, and so it challenged me in so many ways that I wasn't able to see as well. I had to retrain how I saw, but it also heightened my sense my sense as a clairvoyant. So I've always had certain gifts, as being an intuitive person, but for some reason during that illness, it kind of heightened all of that. And there's so many, I guess, reasons why that I kind of can reflect on now, but being in that space and also being a creative that was challenged and not being able to be creative anymore, I had to draw on some of my other passions that I had. And I always loved to blend body oil scents. And, interestingly enough, our sense of smell is one of our primary senses. You walk into the room and you may think that you see first, but you actually smell first. And so
Yes.
I try to tap into what does that mean for me intentionally with the power of scent. And so kind of that's how Scents Aromatics was kind of manifested from that point in my life where I was trying to, cleave onto something that was true to who I was, but also a way to, expand creatively and then also ultimately create a small business from that. So, it's kind of how it started. It has grown from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. But what's interesting about this is like, I have interacted with several people who've been diagnosed with autoimmune. They've had to change the way they eat. They've had to
Mhm.
change their environments. They had to change the way they exercise and took. So, do you think that a part of what came forward here was was you wanting to bring healthy products into your life at the same time?
Absolutely. I think just being very intentional with that, but then also the fact of, for me personally, becoming a plant-based eater, a decision that I made in 2017, really being very intentional about fitness and just creating wellness, meditating, all the things that I wanted to bring into my life. I kind of wanted to infuse that into more of a lifestyle brand at the premise of my small business. And so I think that it is an integral part. I mean, I think sometimes ideally when we create businesses, it may be a model that we create just based on a business. But if it's something that you are truly passionate about, then there is a different level of being an artist, we're always sensitive about the work that we do. And so for me, I was just like, eating a plant-based and really caring about the foods that I put in my body, as well as the products I put on my body, because there's a
Yes.
parallel there. And so,
Yes.
yes, that was really key into how I've developed my brand and just, really now kind of being willing to kind of go back to the beginning and being able to truly tell that brand story. Because I think it's so important, especially for women. We want to look good, feel good, and we want to smell good.
Right. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But did you know how to run a business? Did you know how to build a business?
Well, I have a little bit experience with my undergrad in business marketing and, just being a creative person, but starting a product-based business was something new to me. I think I really relied on my network, people that I knew. And at that time, I think social media was kind of like really becoming more prominent, with influencers and such. So it was kind of like really grassroots for several years. Just like I said, just using my network. It wasn't until like 2016 to 2018 did I really start understanding the foundation of creating a business, being a part of the SistaBiz Global Network and also Women Creating the Futures, just surrounding myself with other women and other individuals that were doing the same thing and just learning how to create the back end of business, learning what it meant to work in my business and on my business. And, still as a solopreneur, it's challenging because you're always having to do something. So some of it was like you learn as you go, you make mistakes and you learn from those mistakes. But also I think just having a good solid network actually really helps, anybody, especially myself, to really leverage resources and stay in the game.
Yeah, and let's talk about investing in, because when you're building a new business, you're investing. And so, one of the reasons I called you a parallelpreneur is because you've got this job over there, and some of that money is investing in this new product building. So did you have to learn a different way to manage money to to invest in the things that were going to take you to the next level?
I did. And I'm very fortunate and blessed that I do have my job and career, that I'm able to kind of really pour back into my passion, which is my business, because it is quite expensive. I have received some small grants along the way, but, in every cent that I get from my business as far as sales, it goes back into, product development, purchasing raw materials, marketing, etc. So, that's a huge part of it. And I think that for women, particularly women of color, that it's really hard for us to, access those resources, and it's very challenging. And I think it became even more challenging during the pandemic, and having to make those shifts and those pivots, which I had to do with my business. And I started, I think, really focusing in and making alliances with other organizations that were trying to really keep camaraderie going during the pandemic. So I had a lot of different contracts like that. But,
Mhm.
yeah, it's been basically me reinvesting in myself in many, many ways.
Well, yeah, and ladies, anybody who's listening, that's what entrepreneurs do. You know, we have this great idea. We start, we grow, we invest, and then we reinvest, and then we grow, and then we reinvest. So I love that. I guess I want to know though. So you've been working this job,
Mhm.
and you've
18
been
years.
building this building business, and you're a single mother.
Mhm.
How'd you manage all that?
It's not easy, but I think if you have a passion for what you're doing, whether it is, working your job, because that is your investment in yourself, and, also your passion on creating a business at whatever scale that looks like, that you make it work. But I will tell you, it is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of commitment. But I think if you believe in yourself, and if you're willing to, to begin again, if something is not working, you say, okay, I'm gonna start this over, or I'm gonna go this way, this direction. You have to have that tenacity to be able to do that, because it's not easy. Because, like I said earlier, as an artist and a creative, you're really sensitive about the work that you do. So, and it's a reflection of who you are. So you have to be willing to pour into yourself, and then also pour into your business. And it is continuous. It's an evolution, and you get to see it grow from its infancy. And then you say, okay, well, now I'm going through another shift and a growing pain. And then you grow in another
Right.
direction. And I've experienced many growing pains. And I think now I'm at iteration number 3.0. But yeah, I'm birthing something new. So yes, being willing to just be agile.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it's just so beautiful to witness you and what you do in the community, what you do with your products. You know, do you have a dream beyond this?
I do. I am going to stay with the department, I think, to I retire, because
Mhm.
I love the work that I do, but I also, so I work, I would say just about 6, 7 days a week. But my ultimate dream, and I've had some discussions about that recently, is just to really create more of a foundation when it comes to a lifestyle brand,
Mm.
because of what I do. Eating plant-based, I love to cook, and so I love to cook plant-based meals. Um, Being into fitness and what that means, and the whole wellness, the aspect of that, how important that is to, especially women. I think, self-care, and having a radicalized self-care is not selfish. It's important to us, and it's important to sustainability and what that looks like. So, ultimately, at some point in my career, and especially with my business, is to really create a foundation when it comes to a lifestyle brand.
I love that. So, how do people find you? How do they find your products?
So my website is www.gemsense.com. That's GEMSCENTS.com. On Instagram and Facebook, I'm at gemsense.aromatics. And yes, so you can reach out to me on any of those platforms. And also, on TikTok is something new that I'm trying to do. So the same thing at gemsense.aromatics on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I'm so, I know this is going to sound silly, but I'm so proud of you and what you've accomplished and your tenacity and your intentionality. It's quite something. I'm very grateful. I ask the same last question of every guest. This show is called Women Awakening. What do you think is the most important thing about women awakening at this moment on the planet?
That's a very good question. And I have pondered it and just even before having this opportunity. And I believe that for myself as a woman and as a mature woman in her late 50s, that when we awaken to the fact that we, even though we have this cliche of strength, I think also there's on the other side of that strength, there's opportunity to really be very intentional about what does self-care look like, being able to say no, being able to honor ourselves, to feel empowered, to feel vulnerable, because I think there's strength in vulnerability and knowing what that looks like. Surrounding ourselves with a network of individuals who can support us, lift us up, and creating tables where we can sit together and convene. Because I often feel that sometimes there are lots of silos with women, and we are the nurturers, Mother Earth, Gaia, that is us. And so we need to feel that there is a need and desire to create community, create a circle of love and direction, and have that support system is really important. And like I said, to me, self-care, I learned what ultimate self-care means during the pandemic. And that's like something I'm never going to give up. It's
Yes.
important to us because we are nurturers. We do so much. And so you have to love on yourself first in order for you to share that love with other people.
You are so right, Spirit, and you're such an example of it. I mean, what you're talking about is lifestyle. It's about
Mhm.
embracing a healthy lifestyle of wellness. Thank you so much for being here and
Thank
bringing your
you.
light.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, ladies, I end this show the same way with different words. You are an extraordinary being of light.
Mhm.
You are here because your energy, your gifts, your power, your voice, your brilliance is essential. So, whatever it is in you that wants to emerge, that wants to come forward, you don't have to know how to get there. You put one step in front of the other. Listen to people like the amazing Spirit and just be intentional about creation. The world is waiting for you. Thank you so much. I love you, and I look forward to seeing you next time.